Hey everyone, this is Mr. Everything, and in this video I'm going to be doing a 3-month review of AT&T Internet Air. I don't think they do the greatest job differentiating them. Specifically, Internet Air is 5G home internet, so this isn't fiber or cable. This is just like a cellular based internet service. It's basically the data plan on your cell phone. It's similar to how any other type of gateway works, but there's no wires aside from your little power cord here, and then you can run an Ethernet if you want to go directly in to a device or directly into a router or a switch or something. But it just connects wirelessly to a tower as your cell phone would. That is how you're going to receive the internet. It's pretty simple to set up, and I think I'll reflect on that first. Is I did a setup video, and if you would like to see it, I can link it. But basically what I learned from that video is you don't really need to set it up. You should be able to just power the device on and then give it 5 minutes, see if everything turns green and you have a signal. Then you would check your Wi-Fi on your cell phone or computer, whatever you're wanting to connect to the internet. Then you're going to go onto the back of it, which I taped off, but you'll search for whatever the name of the Wi-Fi that this broadcasts, your password. You can sign into it, and you should be able to start using it. And it already should be activated. So that was something that they didn't do a very good job with in the box, was telling you that it seems like most people, if not everyone, it should be already activated on its own when you turn it on. So you don't really need to use the smart home manager. I find the smart home manager to be pretty much useless. It's okay. The first time I went ahead and renamed the Wi-Fi. I think I named it AT&T All-Fi instead of just whatever weird numbers it had after it. You can look at your data usage. You can do a speed test, but I prefer to use just the Speedtest app. You can add a guest network. So I mean, it's much better than the T-Mobile 5G home internet app. Their app is really pretty bad. This one, you can do your basics, but again, it's not very useful. You're much better off logging in to the router on a web page, and then you get the really hardcore settings, which you could, if you type in this address here in a web browser, that's more so for people that know what they're doing. So it's there if you want it, and if you don't know anything about that, then you don't have to mess with it. You'll be fine either way, but you can use this app. So next I'm just going to go ahead and do a speed test here. It's not in a very good location. I have it just on the desk here. Now I am pretty close to a window. You can see those are some pretty good speeds there, coming up right on 300 megabits. This is 2 in the afternoon, so the network, there's people on it, but it's not like peak hours or anything. There's my problem right there with it, though, is my upload always seems to be pretty bad. And it did come up a little bit. Now 12 is very usable, but when it was down to like 3 and 4, browsing the internet, and that's fine. But when if you want to upload anything, for me, uploading videos or something where you really just want a good upstream too, that's a little bit of a gray area when it's down there. I have had some better luck with T-Mobile. I think their upload is a little bit better in my area. And the ping was 36 milliseconds, so that's been better than it's been before. Let me do one more test. And that usually, it seems to bounce between like mid-30 and like mid-50. So again, for browsing and basic things, but for gaming, or I use a voice over IP phone too. So when you get into the higher pings, it's not ideal, but it's still usable. Now, I will say, I usually don't have severe deprioritization or congestion or anything. So though the pings are a little bit higher than T-Mobile and the upload is a little bit slower, the downloads are always pretty consistent. They do go up more in the daytime, but even in peak congestion, they're usually not much lower than that. They're always high 100s or low 200s. So it is consistent, though it's not blazing fast at this price point, and this service has just probably recently been available in my area. It is pretty good. It's definitely usable. So now that the speeds are out of the way, I want to talk about the gateway itself. It's pretty basic. Now you do get 2 Ethernets. Looks like they're only 1 gigabit. I don't know if people using this type of internet, if 10 gigabit would be beneficial or not. Because I don't know if anyone's towers are even capable beyond 1 gigabit anyway. One thing is the power is this DC little barrel jack, and the T-Mobile gateway, at least the one I have, is a Type C, which I kind of prefer because in that way, if for some reason you lost a cord or something, you can use a USB-C and a power adapter. To where this, you kind of have to use this type of cord, and then you'd either need an inverter or something if you wanted to take this out. And I also, these lights are super bright, and I had to put some masking tape over it. Actually, you can see quite a few, probably 3, 4, 5 layers, and it's still bright. But at nighttime, I have this thing in the living room. It would just glow across the wall, across the room on the wall. It is way too bright. I don't understand why the lights don't either time out or why there isn't a setting to either dim them or to shut them off entirely. The Arcadian T-Mobile gateway, that one has like a little OLED screen, and it just times out after like 30 seconds and shuts off, and then when you press a button, it comes back on. I think this should be the same. You press a button and it comes back on, or some settings to adjust that. That's really bad. You could completely cover it, but I did want it to kind of, when I was testing it, to see where my signal strength is at. But that's kind of an oversight and something that should be, in my opinion, fixed in a firmware update. Beyond that, I haven't really had any issues. I haven't really needed it to be reset or anything. It doesn't seem to drop connection. It seems to work comparable to the other T-Mobile one. It's kind of same range. But again, with this one, with the bridge mode capability, if it's not up to par with what you want, you can easily just add a high-end router to it. I haven't had any connectivity issues or anything. So the gateway, and it does seem like there's no fan in here unless it only comes on when it's hot, and I've never heard it come on. I added the T-Mobile gateway is passive cooling. I added a fan onto it. I don't know if it needed it or not, but I decided for this. I just haven't even bothered, and it seems to work properly the way it was designed. As far as the signal strength, I've done some testing with it. These were 2 situations when I first got it, and I was trying it. At least from the T-Mobile tower, which I think a lot of the carriers just use the same tower with their own equipment on it. I'm about 2 miles away from that one. Even if the AT&T one isn't there, I know it would be close because there's several other towers also within a 2-mile radius. So I'm up on a hill. I go outside with a jackery, and that's the way this can stay plugged in. And that's usually where I get my theoretical best speed. And I noticed outside, when I got 4 bars on 5G, it wouldn't be any better than, like right now, 2 bars. Some of the metrics and stuff might show better signal strength, but my actual speeds were no different. It must just be AT&T has a more robust or deeper penetrating frequency that it seems to work fine indoors. And this was in the basement, and I wondered why in the basement I was getting 4 bars, pretty much never went down any. It was just full strength, and the speeds were the exact same as what they were on 5G. And then outside, my 5G, even in like a good open area up on a hill, it wouldn't hold a full 4 bars. So I did highlight the bands here. So it's band 77, and then 5 for the LTE. And it's been a while since I really obsessed over all this, so I'm not as sharp, but I do know that I think it's B2 and N41 are what T-Mobile uses. Those ones give you a little bit higher speeds, to where I think these ones are a little bit lower band. If I remember, someone that knows this stuff will obviously know what's what here. But it seems to me that their 4G LTE is just as powerful as their probably weaker 5G. So either way, for me, I had really good luck with this. So in the basement, which it wasn't, in half underground cement, did really well. And then Indoors, I get 5G, does the same. Outdoors, open, better signal, still does the same. So it seems like they, at least in my area, they have a pretty reliable spectrum. And one thing I'll touch on, just to touch on it, is the reason I got this was I'm in an apartment and we were getting a remodel, so we had to relocate down the road for about 3 weeks to a different one. And I didn't know that they were going to have internet provided, so I decided to get this because I didn't want to take my T-Mobile with me that runs my securities and home devices here. And I figured since it's right down the road, probably like 200 feet or so, maybe a little more, it's probably, if it even is geo-locked to your location, that far out probably isn't going to like turn it off. So I did use it for 3 weeks in a different location, and there was never any interruption in service. That was also the same with T-Mobile home internet. It specifically says not to travel with it, not to put it in an RV. As far as I know, at the time, 3 years ago, they never enforced that. But just understand, if you do it, you could technically be in violation and have your service canceled. So I'm not sure, if I would assume AT&T's policy is the same, that they want you to use this in the location that you signed up for it in, but it may not be enforced. So if that's something you want to try out, maybe you can do it, but just be aware, maybe you'll shut your service off. I don't know if they can penalize you with any fee or anything. I think they would probably just suspend your service. But it did work down the road, and you could try taking it with you. Just know that these things that they can track where they're at, and if they want to enforce it, they could turn your service off. But it's up to you to see if in different areas it'll still work, because for me, it did work down the road. Now the price, I've only had it for 3 months, but it's been $60 a month. I guess they charge 50-cent tax, still where T-Mobile is a flat 55, and they include the tax and everything in it. So this one, I mean, still it's 50 cents beyond what the plan, so that's not bad. It's supposed to be locked in for, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 years, so hopefully after that it doesn't go up, but everything across the board, anything in life is all increasing in prices. So I mean, if it does go up, it's still much cheaper than any of my alternatives. Way cheaper than, and way better than DSL. Cheaper and probably less of a headache than my cable options in this area. So it's reasonable, and though for some people, fiber and more expensive plans may be the way to go, at this price point, what I'm getting is plenty fine for me, and I can run my house off of it reliably. And I think the last part of this video is I'm just going to talk about gaming with it. I am bouncing a lot between this and T-Mobile 5G home internet, because T-Mobile was the first option for 5G home internet in my area. So maybe that's the same for you, but if you've been in this sphere, you've heard of T-Mobile, so I'm just comparing the two. It's just how I'm doing it, because I have both of them. I still have most of my devices on T-Mobile, so I haven't used this one a ton, but it's on all the time. I always have a couple devices on it to still, I can tell whether it's working or not. But what I do have are my PS5 and my Series X. They are just exclusively on this right now. I've been testing it. And with that being said, I've had no issues with gaming. I didn't really have issues gaming with T-Mobile, even though they have the Type 2 or moderate NAT. I can still find matchmaking. The ping is a little bit higher on this, but again, I haven't really had any issues. I'm not competitive. I do play Call of Duty and Rocket League and some games like that, but it's not to where I need to have 100% perfect, like 1 millisecond latency hardwired in. For me, just Wi-Fi and whatever ping ends up being, it's usable for me. I think I will do a separate video on gaming and actually show gameplay, but for now I can say that it does work, and it's not ideal, but I mean, I'm a pretty big gamer, just not super picky about like ultra competitive. So for people like that, this might not be perfect, but when you're going for a budget option, the fact that you can game at all and game reliably it's just perfect. And the last thing I want to touch on for this video is, again, if you go to this website, for me it says it's like an unsafe site, which is ridiculous because that's just my local network. So once you just confirm that you want to access it, you get all this here, which is, I personally, for me, I think the main advantage over T-Mobile is just that you actually can configure your gateway, your modem and routing settings. I don't know anything about this. I'm very much a novice, but there is a good bit in here you can play with. I would probably use the Smart Home Manager app just to access the network name and change that. and monitor some things, but this is really what you want, this web login. I do know somewhere in here there was a setting to enable a static IP address. Prior to that, with T-Mobile, I think it's dynamic and it'll change. And with gaming and just other remote access devices, it can mess up things if the IP changes. To where there was a setting in here, and you could enable a static IP, and I think it sent you to a website, and then you had I don't know if a code was sent to you, or it was a little bit of work to do it. I don't know why they kind of bury it in there. Like I said, I can't even find it. I don't know if it's because after you enable it, it just disappears off of here. But there was a setting in there that I was able to enable a static IP. So for right now, I'm just going to cut the video here. It wasn't as technical as I've done before, but I'm trying to do this a bit more from a layman's perspective because that's how I want this. I don't really want to have to know all this configuration stuff. I just kind of want to plug it in, put it in a good spot where you get the best reception, and then basically be done with it. And T-Mobile's been kind of the same too, over the last year or two that they've upgraded the tower. I haven't had any issues, but that's the same with me here in my location with AT&T Internet Air. You plug it in. I've never really ran into any issues. I have said, I got to go reset it. I got to go relocate it. I'm having issues. I got to contact them. None of that. Plugged it in, pay $60 a month, can game, can do whatever I need to. So I think you could probably just comfortably run a house off this and not have any issues. Definitely try it out though, because you never know. It's very, very specific to your location, your local tower. So if there's a trial run, or you can still afford to run two at the same time, your existing service and then this one. I've heard some people say that they have AT&T DSL and they're trying to phase people off of it, and they give you this. I can't see why their company from their end would give you it if it doesn't work in your area. That surely they already would know that, well, you're in a service area where it'll work. This should be in every way imaginable an improvement over DSL. DSL, at least I had Verizon DSL, was very reliable. It never went out. It was never fast or anything, but it just never went out. So, but the price of it and how slow it is and just how outdated it is at this point, if you get this, I would just take the deal every time because it should be cheaper than DSL, and it's just exponentially way more capable, way faster. I am going to do a gaming video where I'll actually show gaming and some settings on the speed tests and everything on the consoles and devices themselves. If you have any questions or anything, I can try and answer them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and you'll see me in the next one. Have a good one.